Ding, 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 ding.
So what I'm doing, I've got some spring onions. I've also got some fresh ginger. And to that I'm going to add half of the reserved bones from the ducks that we prepared earlier. Pork ribs here. Chicken wingtips. I've got some gammon that's been minced. Half of that. The reason I'm adding half of everything is that making a double stock, you can do it once, but you just don't get the same depth of flavour. And then some Shaoxing wine. I'm going to bring this to the boil, full pressure, and then cook it for 1 hour. So after an hour, just remove the pan from the heat and leave it to cool before removing the lid. Strain the stock and just put it straight back in the pressure cooker. Add the other half of the ingredients to the stock you've just produced and repeat the whole process. This will intensify all the flavours. So this litre of the double broth goes into a pan. To that I'm going to add some Szechuan peppercorns, chilli, dried chillies, some chopped fresh ginger, star anise, and a cinnamon stick. Bring that to a boil. Let it simmer for 5 to 10 minutes just to get all the spices to infuse. You transfer the liquid to a container. Leave that to cool, lid on, and that needs to go into the freezer. Once the block is frozen, place it over a muslin-covered colander. It is important to defrost the block slowly. If it thaws too quickly, the fats in the stock will melt back into the liquid and make it cloudy. Now what you get from this is just the most unbelievably clear liquid. And unlike the traditional method of making consommé where you clarify with egg whites, I've lost none of the flavours I've put in there. Still really pure, really complex, but beautifully clear.
Ding, 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 ding.
So now for the skin. You remember we've roasted this for 3 hours. The last 15 minutes, turned the temperature up and glazed it. Now this is the final stage, key stage for this. I've got a pan of vegetable oil, heated it up just until the point of smoking. The tray that the duck skin's been cooked over, place onto a damp tea towel. That's to stop it from sliding around. Take another tea towel and just cover your hand with that. Now what I'm going to do is just carefully ladle the hot fat over the skin. What you're looking for is an even golden brown colouring. After all the work we've put in, I'm really pleased with this result. It's all I hoped for, a beautifully succulent and very crisp skin. And now to assemble my duck feast. Here's the skin. It's now completely finished, got this wonderful glass-like appearance. Remove the skin from the rack and cut into uniform rectangles. The crown of the duck has been lightly poached in a broth flavoured with star anise, cinnamon, coriander, black peppercorns and cloves. Another of the 8 dishes in my Peking duck feast is a stir-fry of confit duck with ginger and shiitake mushrooms. And here's how to make it. First, get all that lovely juicy duck meat off the bone. Then chop up the shiitake mushrooms, some spring onions, chilies, and a chunk of ginger. Next, the booze. Pour some port and Shaoxing wine into a pan. Then set it alight and let it burn out. This will take away the harsh alcohol taste which you don't want. Now add the reserved broth left over from poaching the crown of the duck. Then chuck in some ginger and Szechuan peppercorns. For the next part, heat up a wok until it's really hot and add a bit of grapeseed oil. Roughly chop up some garlic and mince it to help release the flavour. Now I want to get all the aromatics going into the wok. So throw in some chili, Sichuan peppercorns, shallots, the minced garlic, a bit of ginger, and of course the shiitake mushrooms. It is important to agitate the pan so that the mixture doesn't burn. Now the final bits and pieces of the stir fry, a splash of sesame oil, some chopped spring onions, the lovely shredded duck, and finally the glaze I made earlier. Finish it off with some soy sauce, fish sauce, and sesame oil. It's really up to you how much you want to add. Some steamed pancakes. The intensely flavoured duck consommé can be served on its own, or as I have done, can be poured over a dumpling with pickled vegetables. And finally, inspired by my childhood memories of Chinatown, essential oil of jasmine. It's wiped onto a hot plate. Now that is my perfect Peking duck.
Ding 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 ding. Ding 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 d